The Toyota Tacoma is the last of its kind. No, I'm not exaggerating. In America, the era of the manual transmission pickup truck is almost over. Those pickups have slowly disappeared, fizzling out as demand did the same. We're in a world of automatics, on everything from sports cars to supercars to trucks. But in 2025, there is one holdout, one final pickup truck with a manual transmission new. And that pickup truck is the Tacoma.
This is the 2025 Toyota Tacoma, the last new manual transmission pickup truck in America. And I'm Atlantis King. Let's go for a drive and stick around for the end of this video to get this Tacoma's full report card. The Tacoma name was born the same year as me, 1995. I got my name from Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill, and this truck got its name because Toyota found that people associated the word Tacoma with the outdoors and ruggedness and water, which were all Tacoma-like environments. The Tacoma has had adorably rugged styling for its entire lifetime. The first generation was a boxy little thing, which transitioned into a more rounded styling for the second generation. The third generation looked kind of like the second generation, except cut with a sharper knife. And this fourth generation, which debuted for 2024, came with this aggressive front fascia and these squintier headlights. I found older Tacomas to be cutesy, in a good way, and in terms of personality and styling, this is the meanest looking Tacoma yet. Whether you prefer cutesy or mean is totally up to you, but I prefer cutesy. Just think a 2010s era purple slammed manual Tacoma. That is my truck dream. The Toyota Tacoma has always been special to me because when other new pickups, literally all of them, shed their manual transmissions in America due to low demand, the Tacoma kept it, in spite of the fact that as of 2022, only 4% of buyers opted for the stick. Before the new generation came out for 2024, a lot of people, including me, were worried that Toyota wouldn't keep the manual into the new generation, especially because Toyota trucks last a long time before switching to another generation. When the Tacoma's manual did live to see the fourth generation, I was so happy. But as you'll see later in this video, the manual in the Tacoma is less about a sporty driving experience and more about the love of the game. The love of the game can take you many places, whether that's rowing gears in a Tacoma, off-roading, or making your cars as perfect as possible. And my favorite new love of the game activity is absolutely blasting our cars with a foam cannon from our partner XPEL. And it's so fun that it actually feels like a game.
XPEL's foam cannon uses a small amount of foam soap, about 1 finger width high, with a small amount of water. From that mixture, you get a ton of thick, foamy soap, which for us was enough to cover and rinse a Jeep Gladiator 3 times, and cover both of our Mazda Miatas twice. The foam cannon works best when paired with XPEL's big foam compact sprayer for pressure washers, and you can twist the nozzle for multiple foam patterns. And XPEL's foam soap is great for the cannon or for bucket washing. I recommend buying the foam cannon and XPEL's Ultimate Wash Kit, which comes with a bunch of other car care products.
We absolutely love our car care and detailing products from XPEL, and if you want some of your own, or some for Father's Day, code Atlantis20 will get you 20% off a ton of stuff, including a foam cannon, at www.xpel.com/shop. There are quite a few trim, power, and engine options on the 2025 Tacoma, but this is a TRD off-road with 4-wheel drive and a 6-speed manual transmission. That means it has 270 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. If you opt for the automatic transmission on the TRD off-road, you get 278 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque, and the final assembly point on this truck is Mexico. The base 2025 Tacoma starts at $31,590 American dollars. The TRD Off-Road starts at $42,000, which is nowhere near the TRD Pro, which starts at $64,000. And this specific TRD Off-Road has a bunch of options. There's an upgraded 14-inch display for $720 American dollars, an $850 moonroof, a $75 off-road tailpipe, a $130 TRD logo on the shift knob, $425 ARB rear tow hooks, a $355 rear differential skid plate, $950 rock rails, a $200 bed mat, a $680 rigid fog light upgrade, a $560 TRD front skid plate, $105 wheel locks, and a $1,230 stabilizer disconnect system. The burnt orange paint, which is called Terra, is no extra charge, bringing the total price of this Tacoma TRD off-road to $54,400 after options and fees. If I were speccing this Tacoma TRD off-road, I would only do the off-road options, like the skid plates, tow hooks, and stabilizer disconnect system. It's really important when you're off-roading to have maximum protection because you don't want to slam the important parts of this truck on rocks or anything else. And another important part of off-roading is flexibility. A stabilizer bar will keep a car from swaying when you're on normal roads. But when you're off-roading, you need that flexibility. So to be able to disconnect it and flex to touch the ground is really helpful. We have now made it to the most important topic of the day, which is how many Atlantises fit in this Toyota Tacoma TRD off-road truck bed. Oh my gosh, there's lots of room back here. So, I'm wearing heels, which makes me a little too tall, but I could sit up. And I would say you could get 3 across, stacked 2 high. This is a solid 6 Atlantises. It's time to drive the 2025 Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road Manual. But before we talk about driving impressions, I want to talk about the interior. Inside here, it's very utilitarian. It's very truck-like. It's rugged and boxy and square, and I like that. I think the styling is nice, and it really nails what me, putting myself in the place of a Tacoma buyer, what I would want. Now, I will say, despite the fact that there is almost no piano black in here, which is wonderful, the interior does feel very plasticky materials-wise. And I understand that from a certain perspective. It's probably very easy to clean hard, plasticky surfaces, but at $55,000, the materials just don't feel quite right in here. I wish they were slightly different. Now, visibility-wise and off-roading-wise, you have these great thin front pillars that allow you to see what is going on around you, which is great for when you are off-road and you need to see rocks and things like that if you don't want to use the cameras. Now, the rear pillars are a little bit confusing to me because they're very, very thick. And I guess most of the time you're not going to be looking back there. But you know, if my front pillars are thin, it's nice for the rear ones to be thin also. The seats in this Tacoma TRD off-road are honestly pretty comfortable. They're fabric. I wish they were marine vinyl. That's something that I saw on the Ford Bronco a few years ago, and I just really loved, especially because if you're off-roading a vehicle and you get everything all wet, that marine vinyl is a nice way to look more upscale and then also be able to repel water. Fabric is totally fine, and honestly, a lot of car enthusiasts, including myself, like fabric. It's kind of what we're used to in those older, cheaper cars that we like. But the key word there for a new vehicle buyer is cheaper. Regardless of whether we like it or not, fabric seats do convey less money on the sticker price of a car. And when you're paying $55,000 for a Tacoma TRD off-road and you get in and there are fabric seats, you're like, this doesn't really feel like $55,000. An important thing to note about the comfort in this truck is that there is absolutely no rear legroom. I'm 5'8.5" and my knees were touching the front seats, rubbing against the fabric. But up front, you have these grab handles that have a nice texture on them, so if you're grabbing them while you're off-roading, you can really keep your grip. The issue with the grab handles is that they're kind of loose, and they're only gonna get looser. Before we we talk about driving the Tacoma, I want to touch on a few tech features in this truck. You have probably noticed there is a giant screen tacked onto the dashboard. And honestly, the screen is big and intuitive and usable, and it's totally fine. What I will say is that on Apple CarPlay, the response time is quite good when you press buttons. So I can go back and forth between different songs and my call list and things like that, and it's a pretty immediate response. But when I'm on the Toyota menus, there's about a half-second delay. So if I'm going from phone to navigation to settings on the Toyota menus, you're gonna have to wait a second to go from each thing. This Tacoma has a decent amount of charging capability. Up front, I have 2 USB-C chargers, and I also have 2 USB-C chargers in the back. And something that was actually a really pleasant surprise for me was I looked next to the USB-C chargers, and there was a little flap, and I opened that flap, and there is a 3-prong plug back there, like for a full plug in an American outlet. So if I just wanted to take my laptop charger without any kind of adapters for a vehicle, I could plug that plug right there. Now it's time to drive the Tacoma TRD off-road. And I'm sure you noticed while I was doing those interior impressions, or right then, my shifting is slow as can be in this truck. And that is just a reality of the Tacoma. But before we talk about that, I do want to say we're not off-roading the Tacoma today. I thought we were gonna have a really cool off-roading place locally, but turns out it's all swampland. And when you off-road in swampland, you risk getting stuck a lot. And there's just not a lot of obstacles out there and things I can show aside from getting stuck. So we're gonna talk about on-road impressions, but I think that's really important because if you buy an off-road truck, you're gonna drive it on-road too. Now, this Tacoma is body on frame, as a lot of trucks and off-roaders are. Body on frame is not as fun to drive on the street because body on frame kind of drives like Frankenstein walks. It's very lethargic. But that's okay. Driving this Tacoma in general, because it's body on frame and because the shifting action and everything is so slow, it kind of feels like driving an 18-wheeler. The shifter is so tall that I can rest my elbow on the center console and shift like this. It is absolutely hilarious and I kind of love it. The Tacoma TRD Off-Road, as all off-roaders should, has good torque down low, but it does not want to be revved out. Oh my gosh, I'm a rever, you know, I drive a Miata. I like to go through the gears and just run through the rev range because it's fun. I find that that style of driving in this truck actually makes me a little nervous because my red line is just above 5,000 RPM. And so as soon as you actually start to get to revving, you are basically at red line. So you have to tell yourself, if you're me, hey, stop revving it out, shift to second, because you do not want to red line this vehicle. So I have to shift right there at like 3,000. It does not want to rev high. Also, the shifting action is the slowest thing in the world. And that's not because I'm slow. Like, I do like a leisurely shift here and there, but if you're in a hurry, shifting this thing takes time. You throw it up and down, and it's slow, and it's hilarious. The other day I was going to the airport, and I was in a hurry, right? It was a tight window to make it to the airport after this work thing that I had done. And I was like, honey, hurry, drive a little faster, because I'm in the passenger seat, like getting my stuff ready. It doesn't go any faster. This is a very slow truck. The lane keep assist in this Tacoma, like all modern Toyotas, is really, really good. If you're on the highway and you put on lane keep assist, it will handle all of those minute little inputs for you into the steering wheel, and it will keep you from getting nearly as fatigued as you would if you were doing those inputs yourself. It's really good. The only last thing I'll say that's not so great about the Tacoma is I wish this thing had a manual parking brake. It has a button parking brake, and the button parking brake is kind of hidden down here behind the shifter, and I wish so badly that I could park this thing and just go with a parking brake, because everything else about this truck is for the love of the game. Like, it is slow. The shifting is slow. You are doing this because you want to. And I really want to pull on a parking brake, but I can't. Overall, the Tacoma TRD off-road is honestly really fun, and that's not because it's a great manual or it's fast or it's super sporty on the road. It's just fun because it's like a bit. It's a bit and I'm in on the bit. I could have just gotten the automatic. I could have just done all of this same stuff and not had to shift it myself and not rest my hand on this super, super tall shifter and have that clutch catch point at the top of the pedal. But I did. And if you buy it, you would too. And that's so fun. You're doing this because you want to, and you're doing this for the bit. And honestly, I will be thinking about this Tacoma for so many years to come. Not because it's the best on-road driving experience in the world, but because I miss the bit and I miss the love of the game. Now that we've driven the 2025 Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road, it's time to give it a grade. Welcome to Atlantis' report card. The exterior on this truck gets an A-. The minus is there because I prefer cutesy-looking Tacomas, but this is aggressive and it looks really, really good. The interior gets a B-. It's utilitarian in there. The styling is pretty nice, but at $55,000, I would get in that truck and go, why are the materials plasticky? Why does the screen look tacked on? And why are my seats fabric? It is just not a $55,000 interior, in my opinion. The performance on this truck gets a B. I have heard it is amazing off-road, but on the road, its off-road gearing, body-on-frame sluggishness, and not so powerful horsepower make it not the best driving experience. The value on this truck also gets a B. If I wanted a manual Tacoma and I did not have to off-road it or want to off-road it extensively, I would go with the base manual Tacoma, which is $40,000, not a $55,000 truck. But the good thing about Tacomas is that they don't depreciate like a lot of other cars, which is like a bowling ball off of a cliff. Would I take this Tacoma on a road trip? I have, and honestly, it's all right. The lane keep system in Toyota is really, really good. But overall, that just sluggishness and off-roadiness does take away from the experience. Overall, I give the Tacoma a B. It's not perfect, but the thing about a manual Tacoma is that it doesn't have to be perfect. It's enough that this truck exists. The 2025 Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road isn't perfect. It isn't even close, but it is hilariously fun, and it's a vehicle I'm going to think and talk about for months, no years to come, because in America, the Tacoma is truly the last of its kind. A new manual Toyota Tacoma in the year 2025 is not about a refined on-road driving experience, and it is not about sporty 6-speed performance. A new manual Tacoma in the year 2025 is about the love of the game. And I do indeed love the game.